everyone, it's Gina, and I'm back today with day 5 of the Lupus and Chronic Illness Awareness Challenge. And today's prompt is, how does lupus or chronic illness make you feel? Okay, so there are two approaches to answering this question. How does chronic illness make me feel? There's the physical level, and there's the mental and emotional level. So I'm going to deal with the physical level first, and we'll go from there. Physically, sometimes I feel like I have no control over my body. It is completely being controlled by whatever is going on inside as a result of the illness. There are times when my back will spasm, while there are other times where it feels like my entire body is on fire. There's electrical current running through, and there's really nothing I can do but to just endure the pain. I remember the first time I had to buy adult underwear, and I'm not talking about regular underwear, I'm talking about Depends, that kind of underwear. And it was the most humiliating thing that I think I've ever had to do, because I never thought I'd ever get to that stage where I would need Depends at my age. But when I'm talking about not being in control of your body, imagine sitting down or just walking, and then all of a sudden you're urinating on yourself or worse. And I remember being in a store, and I had to tell my friend that I was with that we really needed to go. And this was before I had to get one of these. I said, I think we need to go. And I had to explain to her that I had an accident. Yes, this is pretty graphic. I understand that. But this is about how chronic illness makes you feel. This is what it does to you. And it was really embarrassing letting her know this, because I hadn't gotten to that kind of a level with her to say, you know, this is me. This is what I endure from time to time. So lupus, chronic illness in general, has really it's made it really hard to kind of accept that I am a 48-year-old woman inside of a body that feels more like it's 90. I believe, though, that apart from the physical impact that the illness can cause, is the emotional effect that it can have on you. And I think that is probably worse than having to deal with all of the pain and just being exhausted all the time. On an emotional level, it can be very frustrating. There are days when I get angry because I feel that I shouldn't be in this position. And I question a lot as to how I got here. And I really don't have any answers for that. Some doctors are even baffled, because I've taken or tried to take such good care of myself, watching what goes into my body, exercising right, and then your body just kind of rebels. And I remember telling my doctor, sometimes I wish that I hadn't taken such good care. At least I would have had a reason for why my body decided to do all of this crazy mess. But so I think the emotional level, the emotional impact that the illness has on you is far tougher than what the physical, in my opinion, than what the physical does. Um, it's very frustrating. There are days when I sit and I wonder, how did my life get from what I had planned? Everything seemed to have been going fine, and then I get to one day, boom, and my life is completely different. It doesn't look anything like what I had planned, up to this point. There's no job at this point, and when I at the time anyway, when I was looking at my life, there was just a stark difference from what was planned and what was. And how was I going to merge the two together? That was a huge question for me. Um, there were days when I just felt worthless. That's probably the best word. Um, when you're not able to do certain things for your family like you used to, it's you kind of give up. I came very close to giving up at one point, but then when you look at your kids and you know that they're the reason why you have to keep going. You can't give up. There's no quitting. There's no taking a break. There's you just have to fall down. You get back up, and you have to become really good at it. There are days when I'm just so exhausted I really can't do anything, and I have to find a way to move on from that. Rest, yes, but I can't rest forever. So I do have to find ways of, taking that little break that I need and then coming back and moving forward. Chronic illness is a full-time job. It really is. I spend days from the beginning in the morning charting symptoms. I have to take blood pressure. There are days when I have to go and get blood work done. I take blood pressure several times during the day, sitting down, um, sitting down, laying down, standing up. Um, we have many doctors. I have to go to, well, I think I'm up to about 7 specialists at this point, and it's making doctor's appointments and calling to get transportation. It's just being ill is a full-time job. Taking care of yourself when you're ill is a full-time job. When you're well, taking care of yourself should be a full-time job, but it becomes so challenging when you have to keep track of all of these doctors, keep track of all of your symptoms, that sort of thing. Sometimes you literally feel like you're a puppet, and all of these doctors are the ones that are pulling the string, and you're being jerked from one place to the next. You ask questions, nobody's really able to give you answers. You get frustrated, and you find another doctor, and then there's another, and this constant buildup of doctor upon doctor, it just seems unending. So that's one of the frustrations of dealing with a chronic illness as well. There are times when I feel broken, um, and that could be taken in a literal sense as well as a figurative sense. Because I look at myself, and sometimes the image that I see is not what I'm feeling. So some days I look really good, and you probably couldn't really tell that there was anything wrong with me unless I woke up that morning and my face was really swollen, or there might have been a rash on there, puffy eyes, really, really in a lot of pain, swollen joints. Unless there's a physical manifestation of the illness, most days you really can't tell that there's anything wrong with me. But I feel broken, and there are days that I really have to push past that feeling to say, yes, I have this illness. No, I cannot let this illness take control of me. And I'm going to fight and keep fighting with everything in me. There are days that I'm concerned about, you know, what's going to happen to me. If what I'm dealing with right now would I suddenly get worse and end up dying early? What kind of legacy do I want to leave to my children? And so the questions like that: am I going to be around when my youngest son graduates high school, graduates college, that kind of thing? So the emotional toll to me that it takes on you is a lot harder. I think I can deal more with the physical ramifications than than what it does to my mind a lot of the times. There are times when I feel isolated, and I discussed this a little bit more yesterday in the video, day 4. So I'm not going to really go into that a whole lot, but uh, having a chronic illness can make you feel really isolated because sometimes your friends don't understand what's going on with you. Sometimes your family doesn't understand what's going on with you. So if you want to hear a little bit more about that, I would listen to day 4 video, so I don't have to really go into more detail about that here. There are days when I feel guilty. I think guilt is one of the things that a chronic illness patient deals with a lot. Um, because for me anyway, having kids and now having a grandchild, it's hard not being able to run around with your kids, play, go places, and your social life is pretty much kind of shot because you have to plan so much. If you plan to go out on a particular night, you're basically going to spend 3 days recovering from having a little bit of fun. And so it's hard having a social life, and some friends really don't understand a whole lot about really having to plan, and or neither do they understand if you have to suddenly cancel the plans that you might have had. Maybe you had them set 2 weeks ago. So it's guilt. We have to deal with guilt a lot, and that's one of the things I'm really finding it hard to kind of overcome, is just feeling guilty about having to deal with this and feel like I'm dumping on my family, uh, all the time. But not necessarily physically dumping, but it's like, did they really deserve what's going on with me right now? That those kind of questions. There are days when I feel envious of friends who I see them going on all of these interesting adventures, and sometimes I think, oh my gosh, if I were to do that, I'd come back and I'd be in such pain, and it would be take me 4 days to recover. And sometimes I wish that I was back to several years back when I wasn't feeling any symptoms and I wasn't sick or dealing with any of these chronic illnesses. And I wish, and I have to catch myself. And I have to remember, this isn't something I really asked for. And yes, this is part of my life right now, and I'm going to make the best of it. And I am going to do what I can to beat this. But at the same time, I'm going to live the best life I can possibly live, regardless of what I'm dealing with. And that is how I choose to live. Lupus won't get me. Fibro won't get me. Whatever chronic illness I'm dealing with is not going to get me down, because I intend on living the best life that I possibly can live, no matter what. And that is the choice that I've made. I've decided to stop being envious. I remember my daughter and I were walking somewhere. And if you picture, I don't know if you remember me back, if you know me from college, then you'll remember I had a full head of hair, extremely long, curly, all the way down my back. And I remember walking one day with my daughter, and I saw this lady, and I said to my daughter, oh my gosh, to have my hair be that full again. And my you have to remember, I'd lost a lot of my hair. And my daughter looks at me and she says, Mom, you do realize that she's wearing a wig? And I looked at my daughter and I looked at the lady, and my daughter said, yes, Mom, yeah, Mom, it's a wig. And I just couldn't believe it. Here I was envious of a woman who had a full head of hair that wasn't real. And from that moment, I said, you know what? This is it. I've got to stop. I know that I might be having some challenges right now, but seriously, no, I've got to stop. And I made the conscious effort to not look at other people's lives and wish that mine was a little different. And I figured, God gave me this fight and I'm going to fight it with everything I've got. And He had a reason for giving it to me. So I'm not going to question. I'm going to simply move on, and I'm going to heal myself as well as I can. I am going to keep the faith, and I'm going to hope, and I'm going to pray daily that the day will come when there is a cure for this illness, both for me as well as for all of the other lupus warriors or any other chronic illness warriors who are out there. And I want you to know that you can wake up every single morning and you can choose to live the best life imaginable with what you have left. It's all how you look at it. It's all perspective. And you can make the choice that today is going to be the best day of the rest of your life. And you can say that every single day that you get up, today is the first day of the rest and the best of my life. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. I really appreciate you being here. If you have any questions, feel free to post your comments below and I will answer them as quickly as I possibly can. If you would like to take part in this challenge, the link will also be posted. And I truly appreciate you being a part of my journey throughout this Lupus Awareness Month.